up, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode. It's the weekend. Go pop yourself a beer, get yourself a glass of wine, sit up and watch a movie, do whatever you want to do. Don't let me tell you what to do. Anyway, we have a guest today, a friend of mine, training partner back in Ireland. Great guy, Ciaran, owns his own gym, jiu-jitsu gym, jiu-jitsu practitioner, brown belt. Great guy, great attitude, and it was a pleasure to talk to him. So I hope you enjoy. Nice one. All right, here we're Ciaran. How are you doing, bro?
Not too bad, man.
Excellent.
Not too bad. How are you?
Very, very good, man. It's been a long time since I saw you. I think I saw you last when I fought Killian in Ireland, the last time I was back.
Yeah, the boxing, was it?
That's right, yeah. Boxing in the cage. That was fun. If I'm not mistaken, we had a couple of beers that night.
Yeah, that was a while ago, man. When was that? That was 2015, 2016?
I want to say 16, yeah. That was my last fight. Say again?
That was a while ago.
Yeah, too long, man. I mean, time has flown. Time has flown. Am I getting fucking words mixed up here? Time flies? I don't know. But yeah, I knew after I lost that fight that I wouldn't be fighting ever again, you know. Life was very, very busy and I wasn't licensed here in Switzerland. So when I flew back, I did everything I possibly could against that guy. And I came up short and I thought, you know what? I'm getting old now. It's time to hang up the boots and the gloves.
Yeah, it's fair enough, man.
What are you doing, man? I know that you're a jiu-jitsu pretty much expert at this stage. You're a brown belt, right?
Yeah, I'm a brown belt now. So, God, I'm a brown belt 3.5 years now at this stage. Because the pandemic has extended everyone by an extra year, I think.
Yeah, man. It's intense. I mean, how did you start? What gave you the idea to do jiu-jitsu? Because I don't think you did much MMA. You did a little bit at the start, but what got you started?
Well, I started MMA because I kind of had issues with bullies when I was like in secondary school. So I kind of got into MMA and martial arts, being like, right, I'm going to learn how to not be bullied and defend myself. And like I enjoyed training the MMA, but what kind of happened was like, I don't know, it's like jiu-jitsu just kind of made sense to me. Like from I don't know, it's weird. It's like whenever I was doing MMA, it was the grappling side of things I enjoyed way more than the striking. And then when I started doing jiu-jitsu, I was like, hang on, I love this part. Don't really enjoy the getting punched in the face part. So
yeah.
Why not just do the bit I enjoy more? So started doing that, and then kind of that became just a progression of steadily training more and more to getting up to like 6-7 days a week training. So, you know, now it's just, I don't know, I think I train on average 20-25 hours a week. So
yeah, you do that with anything, you're going to get good, right? You got good pretty quick. How long you said 3.5 years brown belt? I'm
a brown belt 3.5 years. Yeah. So I've been training jiu-jitsu probably around 9-10 years, maybe a little bit longer. But I was kind of, like, to be honest with you, I was shit for the longest time. Like
everybody, I guess, though, right?
Yeah. It wasn't until I think maybe purple belt, like 5 years ago, I sort of took a bit of ownership on my own training. Like I started like learning or researching stuff myself, putting time into drilling specific techniques, and trying to develop myself rather than kind of just showing up and doing what was being taught in the class. I was trying to focus on, right, this is what I want to work on. And then I kind of started noticing that translate into my competitions. I was kind of starting to turn around a few wins. And then kind of started slowly just putting, I suppose, a bit of just a resume of wins together that I've like won. You know, I won quite a few competitions, then got my brown belt. A week after my brown belt, I won the Irish Open at brown belt.
Wow.
And then obviously it had kind of like, I'd done enough to kind of like start getting a bit of recognition on the UK scene, and then started to break into the UK sub-only scene. And I've been kind of focusing on that for the last year and a half.
Excellent. Now you said something there at the very beginning that resonates with me, because I've got the same problem with a few guys in our gym. You said you were shit for the longest time. And I said, like everybody, right? When you started, what got you to stay and keep with it?
I don't know. It's like
It's a tough one, right?
Yeah, it's like there's like, I don't know, it's like you're terrible at it, but like it's kind of like you lose and you're like, how the hell did I lose? And then you're trying to figure out how you lost, and it's kind of like this. It's almost like trying to figure out a puzzle or trying to just solve this like puzzle. So it's like a constant, like no matter how good you get at jiu-jitsu, there's always more you can learn, which is what I kind of like. I like that aspect of like, you could be an absolute savage, know all the techniques, but you could still improve. You know, there's no like, unless you're Gordon Ryan maybe, but like the vast majority of us, there's always something we can do better. There's always something we can improve.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the beginning, it's just like, I know quite a few people that are struggling with, breathing techniques in boxing. Sometimes their jab is too slow. They're getting hit in sparring, and that it just translates over to a negative feeling of, I'm not progressing as fast as everybody else. Therefore, maybe this isn't for me. And I don't think that's the case at all. I don't know if you saw me in the beginnings at jiu-jitsu or anywhere when I was training at the boxing clinic. I was terrible for the first 2 years, like at least for the first year and a half, until I started really listening and learning. But yeah, it's so interesting when I hear things like, I was shit for the longest time. Like everybody, no, like unless this freak athlete just soaks up everything in the first 6 months and all of a sudden you're on the way to being a pro, then that's like very, very small amount of people that are in that position, you know?
Yeah, like I think part of it is like, I almost think being shit is almost like better in the long run, because you kind of don't, it's like you don't take your success for granted, like because you have to work to get to where you are.
Yeah.
Like I think if you come into something and you're just good at it, you're gonna, it's almost like you just sort of like take the fact you're good at it for granted. Whereas if you're crap at the start, you appreciate being good at it a lot more. And I think it's better for your ego, I think, you know.
Absolutely. Humble beginnings, you know. We both trained at the same gym in the boxing clinic. I got my face beat off me most nights when I was training, but it made me better for my fights, so that when I was fighting a guy of my own caliber, that I could handle the punishment of someone better than me. And this guy across from me is going to get a better me, you know. And I think when people throw in the towel too early, they're never going to know. It drives me crazy when I see people leave, you know, and not show up, not be consistent, not show that desire to overcome the beginnings of how shit you can really be, you know. Makes me sick.
Like it's the same with anything. Like doesn't matter what you do. Like if you try to learn a language, you're going to be shit for a while. Like, you know, you just have to kind of accept that you're going to be terrible.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you can't, it's like, you can't get any worse. That's the one thing I always say to my white belts. It's like, no matter how bad you feel you are, you're better than you were when you first came in the door. So, like, you know, you will like eventually get, you won't notice it yourself. No one notices their own progression. But if you look back in 4 years' time, you'll be able to kick the shit out of the guy you were 4 years ago. Yeah. That's the, like, no matter how bad you think you are, everyone thinks they're shit. That's the one rule I think everyone really thinks deep down that they're actually not good at whatever they're doing, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You said that, like, you're saying so much that resonates with me now, because I remember when there was a girl in our class and she was like really, really struggling with learning fast, and new people came in like 4 or 5 months later to our class, and they were like super beginners, like never put boxing gloves on ever. And I said, you know, you look over there, that's where you were 4 or 5 months ago. Now do you see your progression? Now do you see how much you've evolved? And I guess people, they just see it when it's pointed to them, but without it, and you're probably in the same position, without a good coach, you're never going to know. You're never going to be, you know, patted on the back when you need to pat someone on the back. How many students do you have?
I'm guessing now around 70. Between the women's and the kids programs, we probably have about 70 or 80 students in the gym.
Excellent. That's a good number, man. That's phenomenal. And how have you survived this absolute debaucherous disaster over the last 2 years?
Yeah. So we've been lucky in a way. Like some of the guys, to be fair to them, like I was like, look, I'm not someone to take money for nothing. Like, I didn't want people to be paying when the gym wasn't open, so I kind of told the lads. Now, some of them did, to be fair, continue pay. They were like, look, I'm still working. I haven't, I'm not unemployed or anything right now, so I'll keep supporting the club. I want the club to be there. So that kind of helped to a degree. And then as well as that, when the PTs were allowed back, I was kind of literally doing 5-6 PTs a day, as much as PTs as I could possibly fit in, to basically, and I wasn't taking that money to myself. That money was just going back to keep the gym alive. And we've been like, it wasn't easy. I'll admit that much, it wasn't easy, but like, we were like, between the support from the lads, like the 10, 12 guys who just kept paying the whole pandemic, I can't thank them enough, to be honest with you. I have to do something for them when things kind of relax fully. But yeah, then just as much PTs as humanly possible. And then between the two, we managed to keep the place afloat. And we were lucky, like, our landlord was fairly understanding. He was like, look, do your best. And we won't fall out if you miss or you're late or anything. He was like, just try and keep him in the loop. That was the other thing. So there was a bit of communication between us, which I think he appreciated as well. Like, I wasn't kind of just like saying, I wasn't trying to play smart or trying to put a fast one on him. I was fairly upfront, being like, look, I don't know, will I have the money next month, but I'll do my best. And he was like, look, that's all I can ask for. I'm not going to hunt you for money you don't have. So, thank God. Like, I think a lot of landlords wouldn't have been like that. So we were very lucky.
That is fantastic. This should be shouted from the rooftops. Like, the fact that you got, like, we're doing free classes too. You know what I mean? That's the key to all of this. Keeping everybody happy, keeping yourself happy. The fact that you can't train would be a huge mental strain on everybody, coaches and clients. The flexibility of a landlord. This is everything that we're experiencing right now as well. And the fact that you offer your time without the demand or request of payments, that's fantastic. That is really, really cool. As long as you guys have a space to do it and without these bullshit government guidelines of distancing and crap like that, then just keeping the motor going is something, as I said, shouted from the rooftops. People on the outside of combat sports think that we're animals. We're business people trying to satisfy our clients. How about looking at it like that, But that's amazing, the fact that you can offer your time like that and just say, hey, listen, come train with us. Money takes a back seat right now. And if you've got the support of your landlord who's not going to be breathing down your neck, then what more can you ask for,
Yeah, like, that's like the end of, like, to be honest, that's the biggest thing with me. It's like, if I can keep the gym alive, that's kind of it. I don't really care about much else. It's sort of like, if I can keep, my end goal isn't to be a billionaire from training jiu-jitsu. It's literally just, I want to be able to train jiu-jitsu every day until I get too old to train jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But I don't really care about any of this, like, having it, like, I have enough money because I still work my day job, so like, that's my main, like, still my main income. The gym kind of isn't really my main income, and like, I'm not putting that pressure on the gym. I don't want to, like, because I think as soon as you start to kind of mix, as soon as you start to kind of make it about money for you, then it changes that relationship with the gym. I think it changes it to be like, you're all of a sudden looking at your members being like, these guys are paying for my bills, essentially. Whereas, look, I know people can manage it, and I know, like, it works for a lot of people, but I just think, like, there's a time for it, and you have to try to find the time to do it, because I think if you do it too early, you put undue pressure on the gym, and it will just, it could tank a gym, like, if you put too much pressure on it,
Yeah, true, man. Up until 2 years ago, I had absolutely no interest in opening a gym or being part of a gym for that specific reason that you just mentioned, because you take away the passion side and it becomes business, and then you got to start making business decisions as opposed to, okay, sure, let's do this that might cost a little bit more money, So I made a conscious decision that I'm going to find the right gym with the right people and the right vision. That, again, day job, like that when it comes to this specific industry, you're either one or the other. Because if it's a business decisions would be precedent over any other decision that would benefit your clients or that would benefit you or your bank account or whatever the case is. But yeah, I found the right gym and the right guys. It's a funny story actually how I met the guys that I was in the gym here. I sent a message on Facebook when I was in the boxing clinic to mmafighter, which is MMA Switzerland, and it was a personal page but just called mmafighter, and it was with the guy that I'm involved in now who happens to live in the same city that I was moving to. So I got very, very lucky. We met for lunch and hit it off, and the bromance was born, you know. But you're absolutely right in what you're saying in relation to and you made very good decisions as well in relation to keeping your day job, because you know you got to pay your bills, and sometimes the gym doesn't do that for you.
Yeah, like, and it's, you know, my day job is it's not intense. Like, it's sitting. I do programming, so it's not like I'm doing something physical that takes away from my coaching. You know, it's like I'm able to wrap up at 5 p.m, go down to the gym, coach for a few hours, and you know, it doesn't really affect it. So
perfect.
You know, I think it's a smart decision. You know, I know some people are like, oh, but I want to train full time. It's like, well, you know, I know guys who don't work a full time job, and I probably train more than some of them. You know, so it's what you do with the time you have. You know.
Exactly, because there'll come a day where it's 11 o'clock in the morning and you don't want to go training today, and you sit on the couch and you watch TV, and you know, you got your phone, and then you're like, but I've been on the couch all day, I'm too tired to go training now, and the evening just pops around. But at least with a schedule where you have to be at work and then you go home, or your home office and then you go to the gym, you figure out your balance. Yeah. What's your fight schedule like now? I see that you're with Polaris, correct?
So with Polaris, they did this New Bloods. So basically they've kind of been trying to get some new names on the scene. So there was 4 New Bloods fights on the card for the last card. So my contract with them is it's pair fight. So like, fingers crossed, they'll have enjoyed my match with Jack Sear enough to warrant me coming back. But like, Polaris is sort of this thing. It's like, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's like, I was at the very first Polaris as a blue belt 6.5 years ago, and it's been kind of one of these things. I was there as a blue belt for 1 or 2 of them, and I was like, oh man, I don't think I'll ever be good enough to be on something like this. And then I was there as a purple belt, and my attitude was kind of changing a little bit, and then I kind of was there as a brown belt like 3 years ago, and I was like, I think it was actually Tom Halpin, the Irish black belt, was on it, and I was watching him, and I was like, I've sparred with Tom, and like, Tom destroys me when we spar, don't get me wrong, but when we, like, my head was kind of like, I was like, well, Tom, I kind of have a frame of reference for how good Tom is, so I kind of said, like, I could definitely, maybe I can, you know. And I think I said it to myself after that one. I was like, I think I want to get on Polaris, and it's been a goal of mine since then, to be on Polaris. So getting the chance to even be on a prelim was huge for me, you know.
Wow, that's awesome. Super confidence to just, there you go, there's my goal, and boom, goal achieved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, look, I say this to everyone, like, I absolutely hate losing. I'm very competitive, but you know, I fought Jack. Jack caught me with a very nice heel hook. That's his game. You know, he played his game very well, to be fair to the guy. We're actually friends behind the scenes. Like, we're actually very good buddies. So, you know, there's no bad blood there or anything. But no, it was a good match, and it was a good, I think it was kind of like we were supposed to fight 3 or 4 times before that, and I think it was like both of us were delighted that the stage was as big as it was for the match, because we knew it was going to be a good match, you know.
Yeah. Excellent. And is there a forecast of when any other like tournaments will open up in Ireland over the next few months?
There's a couple of small ones dotted around the place, but like, I kind of like, you know, I suppose this is it. Like, I'm pushing my guys to maybe start looking at some of the ones that are picking up. There's a few kind of more grassroots level stuff. So for my team, I want them to start competing.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I'd say it'll be the UK again in the next couple of months. There's a couple of ones like I know Grapple Fest is coming up in October, I believe, and there's a Scottish Grappling Invitational in December that I might potentially have a match on as well. So yeah, I'm just at the moment I'm just kind of taking I'm taking a few weeks off competing just for my own, like I just want to kind of enjoy the feeling of being on Polaris a little bit, and then kind of start picking up the pace then again in a few months. It's hard though, because like the bigger tournaments like the Euros, I can't see that happening next year. Because that's in Portugal, and like Portugal has probably just some of the harshest restrictions of any of the countries.
Wow, yeah.
And like for anyone who has never done the Euros, like there's 4,000 or 5,000 people in that arena some of the time, like, and it's just massive. And from all over the world as well. It's one of the highest attended tournaments in the world as far as I'm aware. So I just can't. I don't know when that's going to happen. Like, but those are the kind of tournaments I'm looking at. I'm not really looking at maybe the Irish Open or one of those bigger ones in Ireland. But to be honest, it's like if I have to spend my money somewhere registering for tournaments, I'd rather pick the big ones. You know, I'd rather go to Euros, try to get the Worlds done, those kind of ones, rather than spending my money to compete in some sports hall in the back ass of Kerry or something.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a waiting game, man. I mean, I'm fine with the fact that I won't compete again. I've no interest in like competing in a jiu-jitsu tournament. I won't fight MMA again. I've no interest in competing in boxing again. I like to spar on a regular basis as much as possible, just for my own mentality, like my own mental status. Getting a good sparring with the guys at the gym is super important for me. And are you sparring a lot to keep up to speed, like so that when you do get the call and you do get the tournament, that you're ready to go? Yeah,
so like obviously with COVID, I've kind of been in and out. Like the gym has kind of stopped starting a lot. I do have a couple of guys that I train with on a regular basis. Now they are for the most part from my gym, so they are all like trained from pretty much day one. They've been training 3 to 4 years each. And I get some of the hardest spars because they know my game so much, and like they have some of the best, because I'm always trying to leg lock them. They have some of the best leg lock defense I know. So so I do like I'm always training. Like, to be honest with you, I don't think I ever fully relax. I'm always kind of tipping away. Like, I think that's the biggest thing with jiu-jitsu is like some people I know are like, oh, I need 6 weeks to get ready for this tournament, or this 6 weeks to get ready for this super fight or whatever. Like, it's sort of like, it's not boxing, it's not jiu-jitsu. You don't need, or sorry, it's not MMA. It's not like a camp. You don't like, that's an MMA thing, doing a camp for a fight. Whereas like jiu-jitsu and to a degree boxing, like if you look at amateur boxing, like they fight mad amounts of times, you know? So I don't really see, if you enjoy something, just you should tip away at it and constantly do it. That's my thinking anyway.
Yeah, true. I spar every class as much as I possibly can, and I tell my guys, if you want to get good at rowing, you row. If you want to get good at darts, you throw darts. And if you want to get good at fighting, you have to spar. I've seen too many people hit pads, hit the bag, and then don't know where they are when they get hit with a jab. And they try and put a combination together, and the guy is like on the other side of the ring. So yeah, sparring, very, very important, no matter how young or old you are.
Yeah, it's the same even with jiu-jitsu. Like, I've noticed it with jiu-jitsu gyms, they drill. So they drill techniques with a partner who's just letting them work. And like, if you try then to do the same technique in a spar, it's not exactly, it won't transfer.
Yeah.
Because you're not dealing with someone who's actually trying to stop you doing what you're doing. So a big thing what I try to do is I don't teach much techniques in my classes. I teach maybe 1, 2 maximum really. And what we do is we divide it. When we're drilling, we go 3 minutes drill, then you switch, your partner gets 3 minutes to drill. And then afterwards you do 1.5 minute positional rounds. So you're starting in the position we're working on, and your partner's going to try stop you and resist you.
Yeah.
Completing the technique. and your only focus is to hit that technique that we've been looking at, but you're doing it with a resisting partner for when you're learning it. So then when you try to do that in a full spar, you have a bit more frame of reference as to what could happen and what could go wrong. And it also brings up like really interesting questions where it's like someone does something and you're like, what do I do when he does this? You know, and it kind of helps you, I suppose, contextualize your techniques. Whereas like I think if you just drill, like 90% of jiu-jitsu clubs just go in and drill a technique for the whole class and then go sparring at the end with no context to the technique they've done. And it's like, you will get better eventually, but there's so much, you improve so much faster by doing these positionals, you know?
Yeah, in real time as well. Because if you're, say, for example, in an armbar and someone is stacking you, like, I was like, how do I get out of this? I feel like I've got the position, I've got the arm, I'm ready to have him tap, and he's stacking me, and all of a sudden I can't breathe. You know, you got to go back a couple of steps, readjust your hips, and then. But who am I talking to? A brown belt in jiu-jitsu about? I'm a 3-stripe white belt, motherfucker. Yeah, man, that's true. I almost got my blue belt. I will never say that in a true context, but I was told that I think 3 months after I left Ireland, the head guy at the clinic came over from the UK, and he was like, where were you? I was going to give you your blue belt. And I'm like, fuck, God damn it. But I will never know. I will never look back and regret, but I also will never know. So there you go. Final question. Do you think the world would be a better place? How will I rephrase this? Do you think the world would be a better place if Conor McGregor did not have social media?
That's a loaded question.
Did you see the recent back and forth with Daniel Cormier?
I didn't see that one, no, but I've seen some of the stuff he puts up, man. He needs to just delete Twitter, get rid of the app off his phone, or hand it over to someone, like hire someone to run his Twitter, because like man just needs to take a step away. Like it's just like, I suppose it's like someone said it to me. It was like when he lost there to Dustin the last time. It was like when he had that big tirade at the end of the fight, like it was like a completely different person. It was like the real, like, you know, his accent even changed, and it was like, you know, it was, and it was like, it was almost like he let the mask slip, and people kind of saw what he actually is like, you know, and it sucks because like, look, I look, personally, I'm not a fan of his in terms of his personality, but I can understand he's done an awful lot for martial arts in Ireland. He's kind of like brought it to the forefront a little bit, and it's just a bit more accepted as a thing. Whereas like before, it was like MMA is just this like thing with like guys jumping in cages, and like he's done an awful lot in that context, but like he's really damaging that legacy the longer this kind of stuff goes on. He needs to just, you know, the man has so much money. Yeah. He just needs to just go enjoy the money and just not be worrying about what people think on Twitter, like, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I had, you know, 200-300 million in the bank, I'd probably be an arsehole too. I'd go nuts. I'd lose my mind. But I would hope that my immediate family, my friends would say, hang on a second, dude, you worked very, very hard in this small period of time. You made all this money. Now you're going to ruin it, and no one's going to look up to you. You're going to be that piece of shit on Twitter. So I don't mean to shit on Conor McGregor too much, but as an Irish guy in a foreign country and a fight fan and a combat sport enthusiast, they go, you're Irish, yeah, Conor McGregor. I'm like, nope, stop.
It's very hard, and like, it's not the kind of person you want young martial artists to look up to. I like, you know, there's a lot of people, like even Dustin, like, I know he's American, but like the way he handles himself is a lot more like he said some shit back to Conor, but he's never once gone beyond the line. Like, you know, there's a line, and Conor just doesn't seem to see a line. He just seems to just say what comes into his head, and then, you know, regret, or well, I don't know, is it regret, or is there some PR person going in and deleting the messages, or what?
Yeah, you would hope that's what's happening, but people are very quick. They screenshot things. It still gets out, and he still looks like a piece of shit. But what are you going to do? What's the name of your gym? I'll put it down here in text. What are you promoting?
T45 Jiujitsu is the name of my gym. We're just outside Cork City. So we're affiliated with Team Rhino up in Dublin. So Andy Ryan is our head of the affiliation. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. I'll put the text down there, and we'll try and get some more heads in your gym. Thank you very much, man, for joining me. I appreciate it, and we'll talk again very soon, bro. All right, that was Ciaran. Great guy. I'm sure you got that out of the interview. Great attitude, a role model, someone you should really trust in relation to what you're doing in the gym, especially if it's jiu-jitsu. If you enjoy the sport and you're trying to progress and get better, it's always good to have a good coach. I had a great coach when I started. That was the key turning point for me, because as he says in the interview, just being shit for so long, it's soul destroying. When you see more and more people excelling and you're not, you're stuck. You got to put trust in your coach. That's the absolute key. Get your coach involved in your circumstances. Talk to him or her. Ask, hey, listen, what am I doing wrong? What do I suck at here? How do I get better? All of that type of stuff helps your own progression, your own confidence, your own mentality. And that's just the way it works. You don't become a professional athlete overnight. It just doesn't happen that way. So yeah, great guy. I really enjoyed that conversation. That's about it from us here. Please share, like, subscribe, comment, all that wonderful stuff. But it would help us out if you guys were interacting in the comment section. It would help the algorithm to get it more out there, I guess. So yeah, your help is appreciated. That's it from me, guys. You guys have a good week, whenever this posts. I don't know. Rock and roll.